Working on my Legally Blind journal number 47 today. Number 47, and got a few things going on here. First and foremost, did get in the Starlight Cocoon glasses. They are these things are kind of massive, but they're made to be able to wrap around. If you can wear corrective lenses, which I can't, but if you can, they're made to actually wear and wrap around them. So I've tried these things for about a week now. Several different ways. I've compared my sunglass approach to straight cocoon glasses. I've done literally both of them over, and kind of what I've come to is that they do they're not solving the migraine problems. Let me start with that. So, but are they of zero value? No, that's not true either. What they're doing is they're UV 400, I think it says, and they do knock back a significant amount of the glare without the darker lens on. Now, the trick is there's a time and place for everything. So, for instance, if I'm going to be in a meeting that I don't know what the screen brightness and whatnot's going to happen, or I'm going to open up some Excel documents, and those things always open with the white background, then the regular shades that I've been wearing, they're the way to go, hands down. When the screens are all set up on dark, and I've got the Excel set up on dark and things like that, then I can switch over to the cocoons, so that I get a little more light without it being so bright that it literally hurts to see. So that's where those are kind of falling in. It's gives me a way, at least, to, when I've got everything on dark, to put on a anti-glare, really good for that part, protection that does help a little bit with being able to, pick some things out here and there, because gray, it depends on the level of gray, and on a dark screen can be a little harder if you're also wearing sunglasses. So it helps with that part. I wouldn't wear, for me personally, and everybody's different, and for some people these might be a magic bullet, but I wouldn't wear them out and about, not because they're so stylish. I really don't care about that. If they worked, I really wouldn't care at all. But I wouldn't wear them personally out and about, because for me, when I walk into, that grocery store or that hardware store, it's too bright. Along with too many reflections and things like that. So the darker sunglasses help me more in those environments. So they have their place, but even with that being said, I didn't see a noticeable difference. No pun intended. I didn't see a noticeable difference with how long I was able to go before hurting myself. So, tried them. Glad they do actually have a place. There is a use case for me, but it's not the magic bullet. I also got the opportunity to try 5 or 6 different sets of glasses for the blind that they take out different wavelengths. So, for instance, And I've already shipped them back because they weren't going to work for me. Maybe they'll help somebody else. But that said, for instance, you put them on and one of them you can't see anything that's yellow. Another one, it makes everything yellow. And so on and so on. There's 5 or 6 different ones. And the issue on those were that, for instance, in Excel, there were no colors anymore. I have no idea what color was being selected. It could have been a red, it could have been a green, it could have been a whatever. They just distorted it so badly it made it really unusable. Number one. Number two, they did seem to distort the ability to read things a little bit. Whereas like these cocoons, it's not better, it's not worse, to be able to read something. Those all seem to do a little distortion, which makes sense. They're taking out a wavelength, or a couple, depending on which ones they were. So I did try those, but they were not going to work for me. So, and then what else? Tried to manage my brakes a lot better for the last week. It wasn't the magic bullet. It did help. I think I had maybe one less migraine day, but that's just 1 week of trials. So I'm gonna keep pushing on that and see what I can do to manage my time better, to minimize the migraines, because one thing that is concerning, they say, while there may not be a whole lot of research around it, because they don't do a lot of research for this stuff, but they all think that by they I mean all the doctors that I've seen think that stress is probably something that pushes your vision down faster than a lower stress environment. And stressing your eyes, same concept. So I can only imagine the migraines are a way of the body saying this ain't working so good for you. So I'm going to keep working on it from the angles that I've got with the brakes, and trying to be smart about the tools and use what I can and whatnot. This morning I was trying to look at a operating manual for something, and I put it on the XY table on the big machine, and that blows everything up, and used it, and I'm trying to make sure I use every tool I have, to strain them as little as possible. See if we can minimize and maybe not get rid of, but at least get the headaches back under control. What else is going on? So learnings. We're putting together a farm, and we're doing the shorter fence. My mama came up and helped finish it up with me, and man, I'll tell you what, she's in her 70s. She'll still run circles around me and anybody else, by the way. Doesn't matter if you're blind or visually sighted, so good on her. But at any rate, we're doing the shorter fence. It's like, I don't know, just under 400 feet. And definitely one of those you got to learn how to be okay with certain things because of the blindness. And also, you got to find new ways to do old things with blindness. So, like I found that hammering in a fence staple, which if you don't do fencing, you may not realize it's a 9-gauge staple. It's pretty thick, big old U-shaped sucker. Hammering those in is a little harder when you're blind and you can't tell where things are at as easily or at all sometimes. So I was literally having to hold the staple while hammering, but my hammer was not swinging the hammer. It was a tap, 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 which is really hard to do on those. So I ended up, basically, I was just smushing my fingers more than anything. And it was taking forever, but bigger problem was I was hitting my fingers on every swing, every little tap, basically. And I had to, because I needed the contrast of where the gloves were to mostly figure out where the hammer should land. So I had to find a new way to do an old thing. I've been doing fencing for I don't know, 30 years. So I ended up having to go pneumatic on it, which I got to say, I wish I'd have done that 30 years ago, because that's basically just an air-driven gun, but it shoots the big staples, and it's done. So keep my other hand out of the way, and just roll with it. Which basically I was making sure I had two hands on the gun, and at that point I can't shoot myself. So that worked out really, really well. Definitely glad that got figured out before I do the larger project, which is a 6-acre pasture fencing. Couple of thousand linear feet. That's going to be a lifesaver to use that pneumatic, and a finger saver for not, having to smash my fingers with every freaking swing. What else? Built a goat coop. Goat coop. Listen to me. Goat house. I got started on the foundation of the chicken coop. I'm going to work on that next. But built the goat coop, goat house. God bless America. Saved a queen. That was an experience. Is it perfectly square and straight like it would have been before I went blind? Oh, heck no. Did it seem like it was going to be as I was doing it? Oh, yeah. My eyes were lying to me like you would not believe. Is it usable? Yep. Are the goats going to complain? Not if they don't want to get eaten. So, I got to give myself some grace. And I'm trimming it up. It doesn't look horrible. Don't get me wrong. That said, what I thought was things were square, and I did the right things to make things square. The cross string trick and things like that. They're all useless when your eyes say, "Oh yeah, that's a 90-degree angle," but it's really like 120. So all those tricks are useless if you can't see, if your eyes are lying to you. But it ended up being out of square, literally probably 3 or 4 inches on back corners. But I was able to trim most of that up with the roof installation and whatnot. So this one goes under the classification of, you got to give yourself grace, and you can't, on some things you just can't hold yourself to what you used to. So this goes under the, find a new way to do an old thing. Well, the new way is it's functional, and if I don't want to pay somebody else to do it, I'm going to have to accept functional, and it's not perfect. And that's a tough one, as for a lot of years, perfect is what I shot for on a lot of things. Hey, I'm pretty proud I was able to build a goat house and I'm blind, and didn't put a screw through my hand or anything like that. And not that I think that would happen, because I go massively slow, and triple check everything before I do something. But I'm sure the chicken coop's not, well, let me rephrase. I know the chicken coop's not square already. I know it's out about 2 or 3 inches, but again, if they complain, I'll eat them and call it good. So we'll see how that project turns out. But I'm going to say you got to find your joy. And sometimes if you're going through this blindness journey, you've got to give yourself the latitude to find a new joy. There are certain things that maybe you could do it, but the juice isn't worth the squeeze. There's, some things that are off the table, like driving, and then there's some things you just have to work to modify on, and that's just the reality of it. And your attitude is got to be the thing that you keep positive. It makes all the difference. This week my wife was driving me around, and she was going to make a turn onto a road, and my eyes told me it was a one way in the opposite direction. It wasn't. She was going to do just fine. And I normally have been keeping my mouth shut, because I've figured out that streets, roads, signs. It doesn't. I can't see them well enough to get them, and so things get jumbled up. Things lie to me on that, and so I normally keep my mouth shut. Well, that time I didn't. I was like, oh my gosh, you can't go that way. Keep going straight. So she went straight, and then thought about it. We talked about it. I was wrong. And the thing about that scenario was we both laughed it off. She knows I'm trying to keep my mouth shut when she's driving. And I was okay with it, I just gave myself the grace to have made it, to have been wrong, and tried to learn from it to just what's the song? Jesus Take the Wheel? Well, same principle. Somebody else is taking the wheel. Jesus, my wife, whoever at the time, but it ain't me. And I just gotta be comfortable with that. And I was. I mean, I opened my mouth, yes, but my point was I was comfortable with the fact that I should have just not said anything. And I'm at peace with that, which it's taken a while to get to that point. So small progress every day. Some days are harder than others, admittedly, with this. There's a lot of things that are very frustrating, but just biggest thing is out there, if you're dealing with vision loss, your attitude makes the difference. And it's I just can't say that enough. It really does. You got to approach it with a positive attitude. You got to approach this with giving yourself grace. You got to approach this with finding new ways to do old things, and then evaluate whether the juice is worth the squeeze. Is it so much effort that you're just going to pivot and do something different or something else? And I think that's really the big learning so far. I'm a little over a year into this journey, and knock on wood, thank God, I test my vision every Sunday, and it didn't change again. It's hard to know that it will, but for now it didn't. So I'll take that with a smile, and hopefully keep my stress down and keep as much vision as I can for as long as I can. So and continue to find new ways to do old things. And for me, I'm getting rid of some of these bigger projects now, so that later, if my vision does shift, which I shouldn't say if, because it's going to, and these become where the juice isn't worth the squeeze anymore, well, that's okay. They're already done. So we'll see where that adventure takes us. But yeah, I think that's pretty much where we're at. I don't have any major technologies to test out. Pretty much have tested them out. A lot of stuff helps in its own way, and there's been other things that just hasn't. So taking it one day at a time now, and trying to keep it positive and keep putting one foot in front of the other. Y'all be good.